everybody, Dan Illman, Mike here, taking a look at the DRF race of the day for Thursday, July the 11th. It's opening day at one of the most beautiful cathedrals in all of racing, Saratoga, and the traditional opening day feature is the Schuylerville. Let's throw up the field for race number 10 at the Spa on Thursday. These are two-year-old fillies going 3/4 of a mile. The Schuylerville, no longer a graded stakes race, but still offers a $175,000 purse and a big field and a competitive field, 7-2, tepid morning line favorite on the 5 complexion.
Came up a really interesting race that it'll be interesting to see how they bet it too, because I agree with the morning line that it's hard to land on anyone too strongly, but I wonder if the crowd actually will find one horse to really throw their support behind and make somebody a short price in here. It's a tough race.
And not surprisingly, with a full field of two-year-old fillies, very precocious fillies at that, we're expecting a fast pace. And Timeform US, with their pace projector, does have it a red bar scenario, indicating that the pace will be fast, likely faster than what some of these horses faced in their career debuts. The 5 complexion showed big early speed in her debut, didn't have to go necessarily too fast. Long neck Paula stretching out from 4.5 furlongs off a very fleet victory at Churchill Downs, or another horse that can get close to the pace.
Yeah, I suspect you'll see speed out of long neck Paula. Drew outside again, but not all the way outside this time, and she has more of a run to the turn this time as well. Complexion very, very fast in her debut. She didn't even break sharply, then bobbled at the start and still easily cleared.
The number 1 Oraki has credentials for Steve Asmussen and Joel Rosario and is a fair price on the morning line at 8-1. I like this filly's career debut victory at Churchill Downs. Didn't break very well, eased to the outside in the stretch and got there despite drifting in a bit. I thought in her second lifetime start, the Astoria at Saratoga, she ran just fine, getting beat ahead by a horse in this race, What in the Literal, who was a big price. Now she's going to have to break well from the inside post. Sometimes that can be intimidating for young horses, but 8-1, certainly a fair price.
I agree. I want to stay positive on her, Dan. I mean, I can't say that I loved the Astoria as a race overall. I didn't love that she couldn't quite get the job done there either, but I really liked her debut, and I want to stay positive on her because she's going to be a good price in here. And I like that she has 2 races under her belt now. That could be an advantage for her.
West Memorial is the number 2, and this horse earned a stakes victory in her second lifetime start, beating Boys in the Kentucky Juvenile at Churchill Downs. I like the way she sat slightly off the pace before making her rally that day. In her subsequent start, the Astoria, she was well beaten. George Weaver takes control. She was under suspension the last time she ran.
Yeah, we'll see if it makes any kind of a difference. She's just going to have to find a way to rebound, Dan. She did not run well in the Astoria, and I just wonder what the excuse could really be for her. And her Kentucky Juvenile was good, but it should be pointed out that she got a great trip in there with the 2 favorites just hooking up and doing all the race, and the race sort of fell into her lap a little bit.
Sherbini is the number 3, and this horse pulled off a little bit of an upset in her career debut. She was dismissed at 11-1 for the Marcassi barn, and she looked good, rallying from off the pace to score with a respectable 72 Beyer speed figure. Now, that was a restricted maiden race, one of those maiden auction races, so it's a big step up in class, but she looked promising enough. 9-2 on the morning line.
Yeah, I liked her debut too. I thought she did some good things in there. And it's not like she got a perfect trip in that race. I mean, she didn't get, she didn't have any real trouble in there, but she didn't get a perfect trip. She didn't make the lead early either. I liked the way that she got the job done in that race. I don't think I'd take the 9-2 morning line price on her in here, but I won't be surprised when she runs well.
She's trained by Mark Cassie. The 4 Slang is trained by Mark's son, Norm, who tired in her career debut, but that race was over a sloppy track at Churchill Downs, and she really improved second time out over fast going, showing good early speed, pressing the pace, and this time going on with it and earning a strong 75 Beyer speed figure. Having 2 races under her belt might be advantageous. She's facing several horses coming off debut wins.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, listen, she certainly took a step forward last time, really put her experience to use, I think, in that second start too, Dan. I mean, did some chasing in the debut. The horse that she couldn't catch, Vodka with a Twist, did come back to win a stakes race in her very next start. So seems like that was a good race. She was better last time. I think this is a way tougher spot for her, but she's a good price on the line.
The word was out on the 5 complexion before her career debut for Danny Gargan. This is a half-sister to the multiple Grade 1 stakes winner Jack Christopher, and she was heavily favored in a full field. And we're going to watch the stretch run of this race, but you can go back in your free formulator past performances and pull up the full replay. Despite bobbling pretty badly at the start, my complexion was in front in the blink of an eye, cleared over to the rail, and keeps going to win very nicely. It is worth noting, this is a field full of first-time starters. The pace wasn't very fast, and there's not much closing going on behind her.
all those things are true, but I still think you have to really like what you saw from this filly. They expected her to run well, and she did. I think the bobble at the start is a pretty important thing to point out because she still just recovered easily, had big speed in that race. I just liked everything about it. Then she was really straight through the stretch too. I like that about it, and I actually feel like the runner-up of that race. Who knows how good that field will turn out to be. The runner-up ran really well in there, and complexion just gave her no chance.
The six is Carmen's Candy Jar, going out for the familiar connections of Rapoli Stable, Todd Pletcher, Irad Ortiz Jr. This New York bred faced a short field of only three other horses in her career debut, but she looked pretty professional doing it. Let's watch the stretch run of that race, and Carmen's Candy Jar is pocketed in behind horses when they turn for home. She does find a seam, and she does finish pretty strongly to win. It was a respectable enough 70 Beyer speed figure. I think she gained a lot of experience from this race, Mike, and it can really help her in a big, bulky field like this.
I like that. That's what I liked about it too, Dan. I mean, it feels like maybe if you compared all the races these horses are coming out of, maybe she comes out of the weakest one, and you could hold that against her, against fellow New York breds. But I just like the way that she handled herself in that race. A little bit of trouble in the stretch, just waited until it was time. And once she got and the room was pretty late, she was inside the eighth pole. She just won that race really convincingly. I think she might be pretty good.
Seems like Michael Maker wins with any kind of horse, and he had a debut winner at Churchill with the 7 Dream Girl. Another horse that was dismissed at double-digit odds, showed good tactical speed to sit just off the lead, and then finished it off strongly over a horse that came back to run second with a 67 Beyer speed figure and a maiden special weight at Ellis. So Dream Girl is going to be stepping up a little bit. Her Beyer pales in comparison to some of the others, but being such lightly raced 2-year-olds, these horses can improve 10, 20 points like that.
Yeah, I don't think you're supposed to really concern yourself with figures too much with these horses. Yeah, she ran fine in her debut. I can't say that I loved it, but she didn't do anything wrong in there, and she did pull clear at the end after contesting the pace. I feel like this pace will be a little bit more difficult for her to deal with. It's also at least worth pointing out that there were two divisions of that 2-year-old maiden special weight. She was in the slower one, and the horse that won the faster one is back in this field.
What in the literal is the number 8? After failing to win her first 2 starts at Keeneland, she shipped up to Saratoga during the Belmont Stakes Festival, and she pulled off a big upset in the Astoria as a third start maiden. We're going to watch What in the Literal's performance. She showed really good speed from the start under Javier Castellano, takes a little bit of a bump in upper stretch, and then is very game to beat 3 of these horses. It was a nice step in the right direction, and it's nice to know she handles this trip.
It's true. And it's nice to know too, Dan, that she can do it on the lead. She can do it without the pace because she's run well without the lead in her first 2 starts. So I think that's a feather in her cap too. Again, I don't love the Astoria as a race. She ran really well in here. I don't want to take anything away from her, Dan, because she's going to be a good price once again in here.
Long Neck Paula, in my opinion, is the key to this race because I really loved her career debut for surprise Wesley Ward, who seems to win with just about all of his 2-year-old first-time starters. This horse set the pace in between horses, soon cleared to make the lead, and then was just ridden out. Just very visually impressive. 60 Beyer speed figure is light, but this is an early May 2-year-old earning that number. Big pedigree by Uncle Mo out of a grade 3 stakes winning sprinter. Long Neck Paula might be the goods. A little bit of a layoff she's going to have to deal with.
Yeah, we'll see how that affects her because that could be key in here, Dan. I mean, it's 70 days since her debut. Again, she was supposed to run in the Astoria. She would have been favored in the Astoria, and she was forced to scratch, and we haven't seen her since then. So, we'll see what happens with her. I'm with you. I thought her debut was really impressive. We've had time since that race now, and you can go back and formulate and look at the field that she beat, and you start to get the feeling that maybe it wasn't a very good field. I don't care too much, Dan. She was really impressive. I'm with you. I think she's the key to this race, and she's going to be a price this time.
And she's likely going to show good early speed under Flavien Prat. Steve Asmussen has a very strong hand in this race. Not only does he have the stakes-placed filly down on the inside, but he has a very impressive debut winner in the 10, Vigidal. This is a daughter of Violence who just showed easy speed in her debut. Didn't necessarily have to go very quick to make the lead, but I like the way she kept to her task. She never gave that field a chance. She took a little bit of money in that race, and we know that Asmussen's horses tend to improve second time out, even when they do win their debut.
He's great with his 2-year-olds, so you always have to respect them. This horse was, I thought, really impressive winning. This was the faster division of those June 14th split races at Churchill Downs. She was very impressive, right to the top in there, Dan. Never gave that field a chance. And I feel like the horses that ran second and third, they both had excuses in that race. Both of those horses could be pretty good, and she just buried them.
The Queen's MG completes the field for trainer Safi Joseph. Big price on the morning line, but considering that she was the favorite in the Astoria, maybe 30 to 1's a fair price. She won her career debut at Keeneland despite failing to change leads, but she showed good speed and good determination to beat a couple of these. The Astoria, she just didn't get out to a good start. I wish she ran a little better.
Yeah, she just didn't do any running there. It was really disappointing. She's 45 to 1 in her debut and wins. She's the favorite in the Astoria. She's nowhere. I don't know what you're going to get this time, but you are going to get a price.
Before we take a look at our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRF videos. Top pick time, Schuylerville, opening day feature race, beautiful Saratoga, long neck Paula. Very impressive first time out for Wesley Ward. You know Wesley's 2-year-olds are going to show speed. I really like the way this filly won. Visually super impressive, great pedigree.
Yeah, I really liked her debut. I like her pedigree. I like everything about her except for the little bit of a layoff here, Dan, and the fact that she's going to go from 4.5 to 6 against a way better field. So there's things working against her, but I think there's a chance that she's as good as anybody in here. And I also think there's a chance she just gets overlooked in the wagering this time.
I wonder if Slang, the number 4, a horse that I have third, is a horse that might go off at a good price after winning at decent odds second time out. I like the improvement she showed in that race, but complexion has the pedigree. She was very visually impressive, like Long Neck Paula in her debut. We'll see if she can cope with a faster pace scenario and a tougher field, as she could start favored in the Schuylerville. 9,651 for Mike, 5,1043 for me. It's a little bit of heaven on earth for horse racing fans. Opening day at beautiful Saratoga. Best of luck.